Hello and welcome to the Cat Collective. I'm Nina, I'm the channel for this channel, and let's start. Balance. Dreamer. Okay. Magic. Unity. Princess of the Borderland. I love that. Love that. I'm gonna put it also on the table. That one. But where do we put her? It's like I'm still a little bit yeah, well she's the princess of the Borderland, right? So ooh. Now the message comes in. Parallel lines, clones. But I think this message wants, like, it's okay that this is in the reverse. And the window, right? Portal. There, so, man, more magic on the table, obviously. So, for me, it really looks like that you are currently trying to find really a balance between dream world and practicality, because this is really practical, right? Cleaning up your kitchen, that's practical. Like, you need, ideally you do this more often than this person who is left with an artwork like this, right? So it could be, it really feels to me like you are trying to find a balance so you can let the magic in, right? And the magic and also your dreams. This is so dreamy. This whole read, like this whole, you know, if you look at the cards, the Princess of the Borderlands, it's so. Let's just look at her. You know, she's dancing with the butterflies of love, right? So maybe you are having literally butterflies of love in your surroundings or in your belly. But if you look at this, she's got this tent there, right? And this is different because, and she's got a crown, right? But it's different than the concrete blocks in the background, right? And this is really a card of opposites, right? I think if you could truly be free like her, let's assume she just lives in a tent, right? That's beautiful, isn't it? But in a tent, whenever I see a tent, I'm also reminded of the comfort of one of those brick wall buildings, right? Like having a shower, for example, right? But she's got the water here, right? So she really seems abundant somehow. Oh, and if you really look close, this says free. Yeah, you know, I think you are on your way to your personal freedom by dreaming up and imagining and weighing options where you want to go, right? And your personal freedom doesn't particularly mean that it looks exactly like the freedom that she's living, even though it really looks nice. It's this having the, you know, you are really rich when you don't have that, when you don't need that much, right? Because this tent probably didn't cost that much, right? And the butterflies, where they came for free. And, you know, it's this, where are you focusing your energies upon? And if you're currently in a situation that puts you somehow out of balance, you know, then I think you really, really quickly see where you need to put your balance. And if I look at this, with all those things piled up in the kitchen, it really looks like too much stuff, because if I look at this, I personally wouldn't need so much, right? And if you have less, you also need to clean up less, right? So it really feels like some sort of, a more minimalistic approach to life, you know, because if you don't inquire or if you don't buy a lot of things, and you don't want to buy a lot of things, right? You don't think that you are missing out on life if you don't have everything that everybody else strives for, right? Then you are truly rich, or it's easier to be rich, because buying things is an addiction somehow, right? It is an addiction, just like the muffin is, and other things that give you a temporary high. And it takes away from your freedom. This really doesn't look like it's free. You know, she can take her tent and go wherever she wants to, right? She's free. She's dancing and she's dressed, right? So it's not that she's poor. She actually is rich. If you look at her crown, she's really rich, right? Whereas those buildings in the background, they all look like prisons to me. Because it also, you need more to sustain them, right? And they are unmoving. So I think you are on your way to your personal freedom, right? And this might be a little bit too extreme for you just now. Could be, just imagine. You could do that, right? You could get yourself a tent and just live in a tent, right? And you can be happy with it, Whenever I see homeless people, or what society thinks of them, or also what they sometimes think of themselves, it all depends. I'm also being reminded of the mindset, because some people choose a lifestyle of freedom and they actually embrace it. And it's not this broken existence that you see that needs help, from social workers or something like that. No, she appears to be homeless. I don't think that she lives in one of those buildings, but she's free and she is embracing what she has somehow, right? So there's the mindset switch. But I get the balance, because I think you are not there yet. I don't think that you would want to live in a tent, but I think you are close with your mind, with your dreams, with your head in the clouds, to recognize that you can actually free yourself of a lot of unwanted energies, of a big part of your prison, if you look at that, if you would free yourself from your stuff, right? It doesn't mean that you need to remove yourself from everything, but it just means that the unlimited growth mindset just doesn't work. You cannot buy things forever. And the more you have, the less you appreciate the things you do have, right? It's this, your attention gets scattered also, right? Because if you would only have one mug, for example, let's assume those are all mugs and you drank a ton of tea, right? And you just have one mug. After you drink tea, you will always clean it and it will always be clean. But if you have too much, it's just the the effort that is required to sustain this is so much that it's getting overwhelming, right? And this is the realization that's coming in for you, right? Because if you are choosing consciously to be free and happy with less, then you will never feel poor. You know, it's this. Yeah. You're happy with what you have, and look at them, you know. They are not even fully dressed. And even the tree looks happy, despite the fact that the tree doesn't have too many leaves. But all the leaves the tree has, they are all beautiful, you know. They are all special and unique. It's not like, you know, if you look at this, it's like this all of them have different colors. They are just beautiful and unique, right? And I think this approach of stuff, you know, it really looks at stuff today. If you just have a few items which you really cherish, you will treat them differently, right? It's with everything, you know. And the more you have, the less you are able to care for it. It's just natural to do this, right? It's just natural because we only have a limited amount of space to focus on, right? And if you just fill your house with stuff and fill it until you can't walk anymore, of course, you cannot appreciate the things you do have, right? But it also looks like balance, right? It wants to look at balance because I think you want to. The princess of the borderland is not too extreme, right? She still has clothes, and all the butterflies, they look like to me like a different kind of wealth, right? It's also the wealth of spirit, right? And she does have her crown, so, right, that's important. Yeah, but what does it mean? I think if you are considering to or thinking about what you could change, and you don't know where to start, maybe it's a time for you just to think about reducing your stuff, because all the clutter here, you know, just imagine you just have the things you really need. You probably wouldn't even fill all the spaces here. And it's nice to have free space. It gives you mentally also a free space. Space to dream, right? So those are parallel lines. They're close but not together. But this came out in the reverse, right? This is the upright writing in this. And I think for me, this really looks like you are really on a good way to achieve everything you ever wanted by focusing your energy upon the things you really want, you know. And this doesn't mean that you, for example, cannot collect things or things like that, you know. If you really cherish some things, this means you can embrace this, right? But if it gets too out of hand and too much, then you will not be able to sustain this, right? And I think by just changing this mindset with the dreamer, you know, I mean, I'm really drawn to the signs there, right? It's like, buy me, buy, right? And this is an addiction. Look at the cigarette, right? It's this typical cityscape of advertisements, right? And then it's just too much and it's overwhelming, right? And there are the birds, and they are flying. And they are flying because they want to be free, right? And if you want to dream and live your dreams, you just have to realize that you don't need that much. It's better to just collect nice things and less of them, because then your energy is more refined, right? And it's really, those leaves, they remind me of those nice plates and bowls that you can buy, where every bowl has this a different pattern on it. I love those. I love those. Like, you know, they are special, right? Because it's just nice to have those. And I'm really feeling drawn to put every card back after I talked about it, right? No, I've got 2 cards on the table that are left, and they are beautiful, because this is your space, how it could look like, or how it maybe already looks like if you are free from most of the stuff. And it's such a clear image, right? But there's still stuff there, right? It's just special. And it all fits together somehow. And this house also doesn't look as big as in this card, right? And if you see those big houses, they look so sad and grey. But this tiny little house that is just filled with precious items really looks like it has got it all figured out, right? Because you don't need that much. And it's so refreshing and so liberating to free yourself from stuff, right? It is, even if it's stuff that you think that you really like and you really cherish. You know, whenever, even with clothes, for example, right? For me, I've done this so many times now in my life, where I sorted out clothes, and I really noticed that clothes also store memories. And it's not just clothes. This applies for every item you have. And we store so many memories with them. And by saying goodbye to them and letting them go, you also let go of a part of this memory, right? And this can be actually a painful process, right? But it is also a liberating process if you even part yourself from items that you really love, but that you don't really need. This doesn't mean that you have to trash them. You can just find someone who adopts this item and cherishes it, right? And can form new memories with this item, right? So this is a very liberating process. Why did I say deliberate? Yeah. I mean, I think you get what I mean. It's just, it really wants to look at the emotions also that are being stored in things like that. And for me, when I'm noticing this, you know, how we hold ourselves back in the past, and sometimes even pictures, you know. This is just something I noticed for myself, because I have a lot of pictures. And I think everybody has, probably, right? But I barely ever looked at them, because somehow, always when I look at them, I get sad. And those are memories that should make me happy, but somehow they really make me sad. You know, pictures of my late parents, for example, when I look at them, they make me sad somehow. And they should make me happy. And those are pictures I would never want to part with. But still, they hold so many emotions, because they hold so much remembrance of a past time that you cannot return to. And items are the same, right? Items are the same. It's like holding on to your past. And when you really do a deep work of releasing your past, you will come to the conclusion that you will even want to part with items that you thought you could never part with, right? For me, for example, those were clothes from my parents, or even my childhood stuffed animals. This was the most painful process for me to give them away. I had so many stuffed animals, but I had to give them away because I couldn't, by any means, I couldn't keep them, right? There were so many, and I loved them all so much. But I had to let them go. I just hoped that they would find a home that will love them as much as I do. And this doesn't mean that you will ever stop to love your items. It just means that you grow, and it shows in the external world as well. And you have to let the things go that you cannot make use of. Because if you think about that things have consciousness, they do actually, you also have to see that they maybe, those items, they also maybe want to move on. Because for me, for example, when I broke down in tears in the kitchen of my late parents, when I had to sort out the apartment after my mom passed away, when I broke down and cried and said goodbye to my best friends, still makes me sad. But I knew that a new time had come, that I had to move on, that my childhood in a way was over, right? But I also knew that this had to happen because it was time, and it's time for you to free yourself from those past memories that are way too painful to keep sometimes, even though they are beautiful. And stuff can hold so much, and it holds you down, and it prevents you from being free. And most of all, the stuff, it doesn't mean that you don't love the stuff. And it doesn't mean that you don't love the people and the memories that are attached to them, right? But holding on to them sometimes prevents you from growing, right? And that's where the magic comes into play, right? Because I think if you do that, you allow something new in. There's so much new space, and the space wants to be filled with magic and clarity, right? It's like living meditation. If you clear your environment from things that you no longer can make use of, it reflects inside, right? And when you meditate more, you have a deeper connection with the spirit. And you have also a deeper connection with healing yourself. And going through a process like this is also somewhat, it takes away fear, because all those memories that you hold on to, all those precious belongings that you want to keep, right? They also cause fear because you don't want to lose them. But if you consciously decide to lose them, right? Part with them in a loving way and not in a forceful way, right? If you make this your decision to part with stuff that you love, but that's holding you back, you learn a very special lesson, and the lesson is that sometimes you just have to let go of things that you love. And that this is a good thing. And this doesn't mean that holding on to things that you love is always the best decision for everybody involved. Right? And everybody, I really mean everybody in form of me talking with my stuffed animals. They had names. They had faces. And we spent so many years together. Right? But still I had to let them go. Right? And it opened up the path for me to be free, to explore something new, right? And that's for you. So your guidance is clearly declutter. Do it. It will free you up, and it will give you access to a freedom that you maybe have never explored if you never ever have consciously made the decision to part with things. It's empowering. It is. It's a lesson in love. And it gives you something back by grieving about those things. Somehow. The energy that you set free with this is free for yourself. And you know, energy work is magic. So the more energy you get back for yourself, the more powerful your own being will be. It's just the confidence of knowing that we are all connected and that everything that you let go of is not gone but somewhere else. Right? Yeah. Beautiful. So, I don't know, was this reading helpful? For me it was healing somehow. For you I think it would be too. Look at this. You know, now we've cleaned up the table. And the stuff is still there, you just don't see it anymore. And you are not attached to it. It doesn't weigh you down. It's beautiful. It's also a lesson in unity, right? Because you trust that. All is one. We're all on one planet, so what do you ever lose? Well, okay, maybe you lose some socks when you put them in the washing machine, because they do travel to different dimensions. We all know that. But even in a different dimension, those things are not gone. Right? It's just that a parallel universe maybe has 3 socks in the drawer while you just have 1. And that's okay, I guess. Yeah. So, let's see who this reading is for. Pisces. Okay. Additional info is in the letter box below, and see you next time. Bye-bye.